It's official, boating season's officially starting pretty much everywhere here in the US. I've had tons of people reach out and say this was the first weekend out on the water, which means those full send boys are back at it again. Now, a full send boy's got a different meaning in many different forms, but what it really means is they're sending it no matter what. Just like some of the things we'll see in this episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. Now, it does appear our crew sent it just a little too hard. Now, I know that's not the traditional version you would think of when you think of that full send guy out there on the water. Typically, you're going to think of that guy out there living that full throttle lifestyle, going full blast all the time, taking it to the edge. But sometimes those full send boys can take it just a little too far, kind of like our crew did with the bridge. Now, this crew right here, you already know is going to send it hard. They're ready to get out there and get it done, but sometimes they're still going to send it too far as well. Now that's a lane full send guys gotta learn to live in, which is how far can they actually try and send it before things go wrong. Now there's definitely different versions of sending it too far. Our last crew got ejected from the boat. This crew is finding a way to inject water into the boat because they sent it a little too far. Now this is definitely a place you'll find those full send guys spending a little time just about every single summer, because full send guys are all the same in this aspect as well. They're also those guys that believe they can send it just a little closer to the beach every single time. We all know one of those captains. That captain, it doesn't matter how close you get the boat to the beach, they're going to inch in a few feet more than you, but that one almost always winds up in a situation like this for them at some point during the summer. Now, my favorite part of this one is towboat guy is already there. How long do you think they waited before they went ahead and paid him to get him pulled off? Now, speaking of towing, that's not the only place you're going to see full send guy. Sometimes you're going to see full send guy out there towing the boat, and they can be easily spotted because they'll send it a little too far in that situation as well. Now, sometimes in towing, though, a full send guy will be exactly what you need. Now, one time you definitely don't want a full send guy in towing is when you're out there at the boat launch and you haven't put the drain plug in yet, but your boy decides he's going to go ahead and send the boat anyway. Now, this one's definitely going to be a debatable topic, but right here we've got full send guy absolutely sending it through the marsh, but I'm sure he has to. They're probably in inches of water. Now, of course, coming this close to another boat isn't really something we would recommend, but he probably has to keep it up on plane and keep it moving, or he's going to wind up high and dry, which, unfortunately for this crew, happens anyway. Now, of course, that full send crew doesn't always wind up high and dry because they send it a little too hard. Sometimes they wind up sending it a little too hard in the party aspect. They're enjoying themselves, having a good time out there at the sandbar, and forget that that tide's rolling out. So even though they didn't quite send it that far up the beach, it winds up in a bad spot. But don't worry, full send guy will always try and get you out, but I definitely don't recommend trying it this way. Now, one thing you never want to do is let a full send guy get behind the wheel of your boat, because I promise they're going to send your boat harder than they would ever send theirs.
I talked to a person who said they own this boat and let their friend drive for 60 seconds, hit a swell, and lost control of the boat. I smelled alcohol on his breath. He said he was a boat owner, and then when I was talking to him more, he said he was actually just driving the boat for the first time, and he and his buddy were going to go in on buying it together.
Now, you gotta let me know in the comments below, do you think they actually bought the boat after this scene, or probably just left it there and let everybody else deal with the aftermath? But again, this is why you always gotta be cautious about letting anybody drive your vessel. You never know when you're dealing with that random full send guy who's gonna send her a little harder than she's ready for. And of course, my favorite one on this is everybody always tells you the same thing when they want to drive the boat. I've been driving boats since I was 5. It will be fine. The part that they leave out is that they're just lying to you and have never driven a boat in their life, thinking it's gonna handle like a car, only to find out it doesn't.
5 miles out, and check this out. Bravo. Pontoon boat with a tower on it.
That's because full send guy who likes to go out there and go fishing doesn't care what kind of vessel he has. If they're going fishing, they're sending it. Heck, many times when they don't even have a vessel, they're sending it fishing in places they shouldn't be.
Brother, what are you doing? Beside myself. That's a really, really way to die. Oh my god. No. That really, really scares me. Don't ever do that again if this is you and you're watching this video.
Another spot you're going to catch those full send captains is down at the boat ramp trying to get it on the trailer. Now, all the full send captain really needs down at the boat ramp is to get that clean line, just to go ahead and get the boat moving in the direction you want, where you've got a straight shot onto the trailer. But sometimes, of course, that is easier said than done, especially when you're dealing with situations where you've got a lot of current. It really can make it a difficult time trying to get things lined up. But don't worry, eventually that full send captain is going to get a line that's at least close enough to right, where they're going to go ahead and say, you know what, this is it. I'm sending her, and we're getting her on this time.
Perfect. Give her, straighten her out. Straighten her out. Straighten the engine.
Now, one of those captains that you don't necessarily consider to be a full send captain is going to be the old yachty boys out there. Those yacht guys you always are going to think are going to be a little more meticulous, take it a little easy, and always be cautious. I mean, they're dealing with million-dollar vessels out there. They definitely don't want to send it too hard in the wrong spot, but that's not always accurate. Sometimes those yachties just see their window and decide they're going to go ahead and try and gun the bridge, and all of a sudden things wind up going wrong, and well, they wind up having to pay the price. And nothing like paying a price for a situation like this, where you've got a multi-million-dollar yacht and you went ahead and clipped the bridge. Now, my question on this one is, will the captain actually have any financial responsibility on this situation? I mean, he was probably working when he was doing this, so is it the boat owner's insurance who winds up covering it even though the captain was working? Or does the captain wind up having to hold the responsibility of this situation? Let me know in the comments. And speaking of working, nothing like getting out there with a full send captain on a work day. One of those captains that says, yeah, it's a little rough, but we're going to go ahead and tow this barge out anyway. Now, one of the good parts about this sometimes, though, is even if you have a full send captain who says, let's go ahead and get this done, a lot of times they also know when to call it quits. In other words, when things get a little too wild, they're the first one to tell you, you know what, bail out, abandon ship, let's get this over with. Kind of like this one here, where Captain quickly realizes things are a little out of hand and a little out of control, and decides, you know what, get off the barge, go ahead and get on the tug, guys, let's call this one quits. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Tiano Carson, Aiden McDonald, Adam Coolidge, C. Kruger, Kim Fenn, and PB&J did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.